Hey everybody, welcome to our team call. Tonight is on a Monday because we like to switch it up. And we are talking two big things tonight. One being the thing that makes you the most uncomfortable about coaching, and the second one being a time tip for how we can accomplish things that we want to do in our business in an efficient way and maximize our time. So I was listening to today the February Coach Monthly like live thing that Kevin does on the Beachbody Champions page. I think, yeah, Champions page. And he's really funny. I don't know if you guys ever watch his live stuff. He just cracks me up. He's like a dorky dad. And that's like why I can tolerate listening to him for like 10 minutes because he cracks himself up. So he said at the beginning of this call, he's like, welcome to Team Cup month. And he said, if you've never participated in Team Cup before, welcome to the most uncomfortable month of your business. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. Not even necessarily if you're participating in Team Cup, but he said that because we are trying to do more activities of things business-wise that maybe you haven't done before or push you out of your comfort zone in some way. And the goal is not to make you hate coaching or feel like you are not being yourself, but the goal is to actually help you have more faith in yourself as you're building your business. So I have a little quote for you that I found. I don't know who said it, so you can just say me or anonymous, whichever you choose. But it says, fear and faith both require belief in something you can't see, which I thought was applicable. Fear and faith both require belief in something you can't see. So when something makes us uncomfortable as a coach, it's really only uncomfortable in our mind because it hasn't happened yet. So when we're afraid of it, we are afraid of the worst case scenario outcome. Whereas with faith, you're having faith in something that hasn't happened or that you can't see, and you're having faith that the outcome is going to be something positive. So as you are thinking about during this call something that makes you uncomfortable to do as a coach or to do in your business, as you're thinking about that, I want you to try and flip your mindset, I guess, a little bit from, instead of thinking worst case scenario, thinking best case scenario. So you don't have to share, but if there's something that like came to you right away, feel free, because I would love to talk through these with you guys. But my main question is, as a coach, what is the most uncomfortable part for you? And maybe it's changed over time, but can you think of something that is the most uncomfortable part for you? I definitely know mine.
I would say initially it's just the fact of being rejected, like talking to whoever and just being rejected, or I don't know,
Yep.
shunned almost. I don't know.
Yep. Yep.
And then my other one is just being like, to like my closer friends that I know really don't, I mean, I know they could benefit from it, but I don't want to like, I don't know, put it off on them and like be annoying to them where they're like, lose me as a friend. I don't know, like that'd be worst case scenario, I guess. But just
Yeah.
annoying them to the fact where they're like, I don't really want to talk to Jamie because I feel like she's always selling me something, or
That makes complete sense. I would say that I'm definitely along the same lines, fear wise, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Definitely in terms of rejection. And I think I've gotten better, but I caught myself even today. Like I sent out a bunch of invites, like did my follow-ups. I just like, when you use My Connection Builder, just tells you. So I just go with whatever it says. And I had people message me back and I looked in my inbox and then I just closed it. Cause I'm like, oh, I don't even want to hear them say no. But I didn't even like, all I could see was like, hey, Kelsey, like that's all I can see. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a no. Why do I do that? Because I'm afraid of that. but yeah, Jamie, I would say that's my biggest one too. Jen, do you have something that makes you most uncomfortable?
I think now in this moment, I've taken, as you know, Kels, a huge step back in coaching. So I'm uncomfortable right now. I like don't know where to start. Like I'm so kind of like overwhelmed. Like I came home and I was going through training on the Make Chic Happen and the Rise Up Planner, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I forget what to do. And then I'm afraid that like once I get back into this, people are gonna look at me and think, well, you dropped off the face of the earth, like with our coaching, so why am I gonna trust you because you let me down? So
Valid fear, definitely valid fear. And I think that comes from our own insecurities, right? Like,
no, for sure.
If I don't know, because we're our own.
Like I feel like people, I don't know why people are following me, or I don't know why they,
Right.
I don't know. I'm going to mute myself because I'll just I'll talk while you're talking, but muted.
Totally fine. Deja, do you have anything that comes to mind or that you want to share? If not, totally fine. But if you do.
I don't really know how to use this thing. I hope you guys can hear me or this gets translated to you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. The only thing I feel like I'm consistently uncomfortable with is following up. Like when I feel like I don't get a clear, somebody asks me a question and I give them a response, whether it's what is coaching, what is Beachbody, why do you do what you do, or what's it all about? And I either don't get a response or I'll get something that's kind of like open-ended from them, and then I don't hear from them for days, and I'll follow up again and then I don't hear from them, or sometimes it's hard to respond to what they're saying. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know where to step in or when to just kind of back off a little bit, or, I'm worried I'm going to say the wrong thing and kind of push them in the wrong direction.
Definitely.
Sometimes I have a good feel for it, and sometimes I just kind of, I let it fizzle out because I'm like, well, I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing.
Definitely a relatable fear. And that's so funny because I was talking to Emma about this earlier, this exact thing earlier today. And I always try and remind myself in these situations, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So if they're interested and they're like, they want to do what you're doing or they want your help, like you could sound like a complete idiot and it won't matter to them. Like they'll still be
right. That makes sense.
But definitely valid uncomfortableness for sure. Emma, we are just sharing something that makes us uncomfortable with coaching, like anything in general. So if you have something and you want to share.
Has everybody else gone?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Like kind of like, I think the main thing that is uncomfortable, I guess, minus who was just talking? Deja?
Deja.
Okay, cool. I just didn't see a video, so I was like, where is this?
I don't know how to turn it on. I'm trying.
Oh, you're me. Oh, you'll figure it out eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Besides that, like, kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, this stigma that kind of comes along with it, like people expect you or hear that you just even do Beachbody and that maybe you're a coach, or they see how you post and so they assume that you're like trying to sell it, and that's not really the case. And I even told my friend the other day, I was like, I hate coming across salesy because that's not my goal. My goal is to, if you need it, to find it, like me. So that's my goal. So if I was trying to sell it, I would be being super salesy, but my goal is just, let me introduce this to you because this worked for me and maybe it'll work for you, because you'll get desperate enough to try anything at this point, and this might be what you need. And so the irritation that comes with this stigma. Did she get her video?
You got it.
I did.
You're on my other page. Again, that's probably a problem for myself anyway. So, but yeah, just like they expect you to just be like a salesperson and just part of this MLM, and oh, those things are just scams anyway, blah 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 blah. And at this point I'm kind of like, well, it may be a scam, but it works, so let's just keep going.
I love it. And that's a huge I think thing that makes people uncomfortable too, and I think deters a lot of people from wanting to coach, is they feel like, for whatever reason, I have to, sell a product, when really, like, to me, and I think on this team, we do, or we try to do our best job in really just
Sharing our journey.
sharing, right, exactly, instead of selling, because it's not, I would never want someone to do something that I would not do myself. Like, if I wasn't doing these workouts, I wouldn't recommend it. If I wasn't drinking Shakeology, I wouldn't recommend it. If I wasn't drinking the pre-workout, like, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I would do. So I think that's a legitimate, uncomfortable feeling as well, is even just not knowing what other people think of you, and then, or them not talking to you because they don't know.
Or kind of like
you assume that you know what they think about you because of what Emma just said.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, great. Now I'm extra paranoid about what I say and how I say it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it either makes or breaks the whole conversation. You kind of get in your own head at that point.
Definitely. So
Or
keeping
hearing
those things
in their own voice.
so keeping those things in mind, what you personally, that makes you uncomfortable, thinking about why you feel that way is important, because if you understand why you're afraid of that thing, so, to use Jamie and my example, that we feel like if we offer to our close friends or family, that's going to be a turnoff to them for our entire friendship. Like, if we have that fear, then it's going to be easier for us to think through, how can I work to get over that? And maybe it's the way, for myself, maybe it's the way that I approach conversations with people that I know versus people that I don't know. Or, maybe instead of wording it the same way, the same type of message I might send to someone on Instagram, if it's someone that I'm inviting in person, I'm going to sound more like myself. I'm going to sound more genuine, but I need to be aware that I don't word vomit like all over this person because I'm so excited, or, whatever. So learning that about myself and learning to gauge is important for me to overcome that fear, because if I'm confident in what I'm doing, then I have, eliminated, at least to some extent, that I'm going to mess it up, or that I'm going to, whatever. So think through that this week. Why is that a fear for me? And what can I do to work through that and put more emphasis on having faith in something you can't see, as opposed to fearing the thing that you can't see. So we're going to try and work a little bit through that this week as well. Anybody else have anything to add in terms of things that make you uncomfortable, or tips that you have to get over stuff? Or maybe you used to be afraid of doing something and now you're not, or something used to make you uncomfortable and now it doesn't, and how you got over doing a thing.
I just feel like, to add to Deja's, is that I feel like I talk too much. Like, once they're like somewhat interested, then I'm like, I'm like, go all off on it. And I don't know. And then I feel like I'm like too much. And so that's another fear, I guess.
And I think you can always preface it by, I'm so excited to share, and I'm going to try and rein it in, just so that they know, like, I love sharing about this, and
Right.
I have a tendency to overshare. I'm not trying to overwhelm you. If you have that fear, then you can give yourself a,
One tip can you guys hear me? Is it working?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One tip I kind of learned from you, Kelsey, was using the, on Instagram, instead of, like, I always tell people, like, it's a lot of information. So instead of having to type up, scrolling length worth of information, that little voice thing where you can just record your voice. Because people like, I would prefer to hear it, much more quickly than having to read it. And
Mhm.
then maybe having to I have to read it in parts because I got to put my phone down, but I can listen to it a lot more quickly. And I think I've gotten a little more positive response and feedback from that. So if I'm worried about oversharing or feeling like I don't want to miss any points, but I don't want to type too much because my fingers will hurt and this person doesn't want to read for 5 minutes straight, then that's something that I've kind of used to work around that. And I think it's worked out. Just that
Awesome.
one specific thing.
But no, that's a great reminder. I think that that it's helpful too for people to recognize that you're a real person on the other
Yeah.
end of the phone. Like you're not a bot,
Right.
And, I mean, you would think that people would know that because if they watch your Instagram story, they see you like doing your workout or they see you with your Energizer, with your shake. Like,
Right. But
you
you're
know,
right. It
but
makes it seem more real. Like even,
absolutely.
before I heard your voice, you just like, there's so much left to the imagination, but then to see somebody moving in action and to hear them speaking and kind of just chit chatting throughout their day with like Instagram stories and stuff like that, it just brings a little more grounded sense to it. So people don't look at you like some salesy robot. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, awesome point. Awesome point. Anyone else have anything to add before we move on to your second little thing? No. Okay, moving on. So last week, one thing that everybody said they were going to have an obstacle with, and I think this is in some way, shape, or form applicable to everyone, and is finding the time to do the activities that you want to do to move your business forward. So I just have a little tip for this week that I want you guys to try to implement. Think about throughout your day. You can do it tomorrow if you want. Where are your 10-minute time pockets? Just 10 minutes, like any 10 minutes throughout your day where you're like just sitting scrolling on your phone, or you watch an episode of something on Netflix, or you hit the snooze. Like any 10-minute time pocket in your day. Just think about where those have a tendency to appear. Maybe you have a 40-minute lunch break and you eat your lunch in 17 minutes. Think about where you have those. And then I think it's important to bring this up. And I know we've talked about it before, but I'm going to show you guys mine. In those 10 minutes, do you know the activities you should be doing during that time to maximize your time? So I printed this off, which I know Jen and I have printed this off before, and then we use it for like a week and then we don't. But this little guy, which is the Success Club System Tracker, I sent this in an email to Team Cup people, but Deja, if you want me to send it to you, I can. It's also
I do have it. I think you sent that to me a long time ago.
Okay, yes. So I'm committed to using this for the whole month of February. And there's way more pages here than February because I don't understand how to print things on a computer. So it's double-sided, upside down, and like way too many weeks. But this is so helpful in knowing what to do in your time blocks, because you guys can't see this, but I'll read it to you. For example, like all of these activities in here, it has a recommended amount of time that you spend on them. That's great. So it says, do a social media post that showcases the benefits of your healthy lifestyle or has a call to action, AKA like while you're making your shake, or while you're mixing your Energize, or while you're reading personal development. Like take 10 minutes to type up your post for the day or whatever. It has these recommended times so that you know the activity and about how much time you should spend on it. Some posts might take you longer, some might take you shorter, but it even has update your Instagram, and it says about 3 minutes. And it has 7 different things that you could talk about. Everything from like your daily life to healthy meal or healthy meal prep or whatever. So this is helping me to know what I should be doing in my downtime. If I did not have a list and I had 10 minutes, I would just sit down and be like, well, scroll, for 10 minutes and get nothing done and get nothing accomplished. But instead, when you have a list, at least for me, when I have a list to work from, it helps me be more productive with my time. I don't know if you guys can relate to that at all. So my challenge is for you to print out just one page. Just start with one. Don't start with a packet. One page and see if you can fill it out for 5 days. I don't care if it's 5 days in a row, but see if it helps you. Especially helps you learn what you could be doing during those time slots. I'm not saying it's bad to sit and scroll on social media. I love doing that. But don't do it during your work time. You know, you're like, okay, this 10 minutes I'm going to work. I'm not going to scroll. I'm just going to do my activities. And along with that, it goes with this. Make sure if you talk to any new people or you follow up with people in the past, write it down or put it in the computer so you can keep track. And then in 2 weeks or in a month or whenever you want to follow up with them, you know who you talked to and what you talked to them about. So you can go back and follow up. Jen, do you have, because you've been a coach longer than I have, do you have any tips when it comes to follow up? Because I know that that's, you know, fortunes in the follow up. So the bulk of what we do should be coming from follow up activities. Do you have any tips when it comes to that?
Just the only tip I have that I'm horrible at is just tracking it. So either using the BAT or the My Challenge Tracker or any sort of tracking system, whether it just be a notebook if you're pen and paper, but tracking down every conversation or everything you have with somebody, really. And that's what every top coach is going to tell you, is just make sure that you're tracking and develop some system that works for you. Don't develop a system that Kelsey uses just because it works for her and you think that sounds great. Try it out, but then find one that works for you that you will be consistent with, that'll want to make you follow up with people. But just tracking it.
I started pencil and paper, and because I'm like, that's me all day, pencil and paper person. And then then all of a sudden it wasn't working anymore because I was working my business more and I was reaching out to more people or inviting more people. And all of a sudden my lists were like everywhere. So now I use like an online automated system. It works for me. I know that there are people, there are dozens of different kinds, but I tried doing it in like an Excel doc. I tried doing it in like my own system tracker, but I found, you know, what works for me. But I think your point is spot on. As long as you keep track in some way, shape, or form, even though I do it on the computer now, I still have like a list of, you know, if people told me that they want more info, just so I don't forget, I'm like, write their names down. So that helps me too. And then it helps you not to feel lost. Like, oh, who am I supposed to invite? Who am I supposed to talk to? I can't remember who I talked to 3 days ago. You know, then that way you don't have to go back through your inbox.
Yeah.
So that was my little time tip. Find your 10-minute pocket or pockets during the day. Even if you had 3 10-minute time pockets, then you could sneak in a little productive action. Questions or anything on that? No silly questions. Okay, cool. Then I only had 2 other little things that I don't know if people were aware of, so I wanted to share. The first is that if you don't know what this is applicable to new coaches. So people that just sign up, like they're in their first 1 or 2 months. There's something called Success Starter, and that is what I was when I started my business. That's what Jamie was when she started her business. Heather, who's on our team. Jen, were you Success Starter? No, okay, sorry. Didn't mean to bring it up. Sorry. Anyway, it just means that you hit Success Club 5 it used to be in your first 3 months. And now you can hit it 3 times in your first 6 months. And it doesn't have to be consecutive. And the benefits to doing that, and I'm telling you guys, because if we bring on new coaches, this month and they want to work their business, this is something we could help them shoot for. The benefits to hitting Success Club in your first couple of months as a coach is that you get a free ticket to Summit, which is our massive conference, I guess, that we have every year, and it rotates cities. This coming summer, it's in New Orleans. I'm very excited about that because of the food and the merriment that happens there. Anyway, you get a free ticket to Summit. You also now get to participate in a launch group for a new workout program that's going to happen during the year. Typically, someone correct me if I'm wrong, we have 4 new programs every year. I think, not positive about that. I want to say like 1 every quarter comes out, which is an insane amount when you think about it. But anyway, if you achieve that, then you get to be a part of it. Jamie's in the, I want to say 9 rounds, in the 10 rounds test group right now because she was a Success Starter. So she gets access to that program before anyone else, which is kind of cool. And like I mentioned, they get to go to Summit for free. Their airfare or travel is not paid for, but their ticket is paid for. And it's so beneficial. I'm really excited. It's my goal to bring 6 coaches from our team to Summit this year. I would love that because the experience is like insanely cool. Aside from like amazing speakers, the bonding time with our team is awesome. The workshops are awesome. The workouts are awesome. All the super trainers are there. I don't know. It's pretty cool. So that is a goal that I have. Last little thing, anyone and on this entire team, if you want to, you can get on the opt-in list for the Success Club trip. You just have to go to successclubtrip.com and put your name on the list. And then throughout the year, as you earn Success Club points, it goes toward getting you closer to being invited to go on the trip. And this year's trip next year's trip is going to Riviera Maya. So we went there a couple of years ago. Super excited to go back. I just booked the trip for Will and I last week. So I'm really pumped. But anyway, you can put your name on the list. And that's all I have. Anyone have anything else to add? Okay.